straight Theater Rhino right here on Facebook Live or on Zoom. Whoops.
That was live.
That was live. That was live already. So are we recording?
We are recording.
Okay, great. Thank you. So we'll be back around 8 o'clock. Thanks for joining us. Bye. Joe, I'll see you a little bit before 8.
Do you want to come on camera and mic at 8, a little before 8, or
Yeah.
we'll do it all by text?
And I'll just check in with you.
Check in,
the sound.
and all. Okay.
All right, I'll see you later. Hey, Joe.
Hey there.
Just checking in.
Okay.
Video's okay.
Videos looks good.
Okay, let me try the sound. Test, test.
Sounds good.
Okay, test, test.
Sounds good.
Okay, great. So thank you everybody for joining us, and we're going to begin shortly. Yay! Hello, my name is John Fisher, and this is Straight. This is a piece about conversion therapy, turning gay men into straight men. Now, I want to do a piece about this because I discovered something about it a few years ago, and it struck me very strongly, but I didn't want to just talk about other people's experiences. You see, at first, I thought it had nothing to do with me. I thought it was crazy wanting to change gay men into straight men. I thought it was insane. And then I started to think about it. And I realized that it's touched my life in all sorts of interesting ways. So though this is based on research and interviews and talking to people, it's also based on my own discoveries about myself and how I've moved through the world and people I've known, and perhaps even how my life has been touched upon by conversion therapy, the effort to turn gay men into straight men. So how do I think it all started for me? Well, for me, it was interesting because it goes way back. You see, when I was a kid, my mommy used to love to take us to Broadway shows. We love them, especially the musicals. We love the Broadway musicals, all that spectacle, all that incredible energy, the dancing, the singing. We loved it, loved it, loved it. But what I loved most about it all was the music. I loved the music. I loved all those glorious tunes. I was really into melody. That's what I loved, melody. It was so impressive. And of course, I grew up on all of the great songwriters. They were terrific. I kept going back to New York over and over again. I loved it, loved it, loved it. I thought it was incredible. And even when my mommy no longer took me, I'd go with Michael, my husband, or I'd go on my own just to see the Broadway musicals. And I was enraptured. And then I started to, I started to feel a little bit disquiet about the musicals. I don't know what it was. And then I started to analyze it, and I realized that they didn't feel quite as spontaneous as I thought they should. They felt a little bit mechanical. They weren't as live as the plays. I don't know what it was. Maybe it's the rhythm that the orchestra creates, or the rhythm of the choreography, but they began to feel more and more like movies. They were losing their magic for me. Now, the other thing I realized when I started to analyze this was I wasn't loving the music as much as I had as a kid. Now, I grew up on Rodgers and Hammerstein, Jerry Herman, tuneful musicals, even Stephen Sondheim, a tuneful composer. Now, people say he isn't. They say he's not tuneful. They say that his stuff is not tuneful. He doesn't write great melodies. No, Stephen Sondheim writes brilliant melodies. They're gorgeous. They're sumptuous. They're just subtle. And because his lyrics are so brilliant, the melodies tend to fade into the background on the recordings and even in the performances so that you can hear and understand the lyrics. But the music is gorgeous. It's melodious. It is terrific. And this was the same problem that Cole Porter confronted. A lot of critics said that he couldn't write good songs, just good lyrics. Nonsense. His music is terrific. Gilbert and Sullivan, same problem. Sullivan's music had to be played very, very quietly so you could hear and understand the lyrics. But the music, when you hear it, when you really listen, is sumptuous. And this was the problem because I love Stephen Sondheim, but the next generation of composers seemed to be empowered to take the Sondheim gift, those subtle melodies, and turn them into almost nothing. And so many of the musicals I saw did not have tuneful music. The music was like recitative. It was like sung dialogue. I mean, it was beautifully sung and obviously brilliantly composed, but not to my ear. I wasn't loving it. And so I'd see all these shows and there'd be like one good song or no good songs, and I was frustrated. And so then I realized, if it's a really good show, it's going to come to San Francisco, and I can see it in San Francisco. It'll be very much like the productions in New York. It'll be very, very much like the productions in New York, because here the mechanism is helping me. The rhythm, the mechanicalness of it, the very cinematic aspect of it, the fact that it's always the same will help me in San Francisco because the productions will be just as good, those Broadway productions on tour. And I've seen so many great musicals in San Francisco. The Book of Mormon, one of my favorites. I've seen it 3 times and it's got wonderful music. Hamilton, same story, wonderful music. And I didn't have to go to New York to see it. So I had a bit of a crisis because I loved going to see New York theater, and yet I wasn't loving going to see the musicals in New York anymore. I would just wait for them to come here. So what did I decide to do? I decided to go to New York in the spring and see the plays. That was when I would see the plays. Now, the plays always seemed real to me. They always seemed live. They always seemed authentic, always real things happening on stage. You could see it, you could feel it. And I got into this thing of going to New York in the spring because that's the best time to see the best shows, the plays on Broadway. Why? It's all economics. The Tony Awards. Now, plays, can't really afford to open up early in the season because, they can't get enough momentum around them. They're not like the musicals. The musicals, even with a mediocre review, can run and run and run because people love them, especially the children's musicals. But all kinds of musicals do very well in the early part of the season if they get good enough reviews and there's energy behind them. Plays tend to have a problem. So what they do is they wait until it's almost Tony season in the spring, and they open up just before the Tonys. And if they get a good review, they start running. And then if they get some Tony Awards, they're carried on for a little longer. And if they get a Tony Award, right? If they get a nomination, great. If they then get an award, they're made. They can run probably through the summer. And that's the economics of Broadway plays on Broadway. So I would go in the spring, and sometimes I'd go with my husband, Michael, and sometimes I just went on my own because he was busy, he was working, but I had to go, I had to see it. I wanted to see plays. And what I wanted to see more than anything were gay plays, the plays that I could relate to personally. So I would get a cheap flight. I'd stay at the YMCA, really, really modest accommodations, and I didn't stay there because it's like gay, like the YMCA. It had nothing to do with that. It wasn't because it's not gay at all. It's full of like Swedish tourists, like families. It's not gay at all. But what I love about it is they have a big pool down in the basement, and I love to swim. I swim every day. And they have a weight room, which is great. I love the weights. And also they have all these empty studios. These are like for dance classes and yoga classes. And I could go into one of those. I could sneak into one. And if it was empty, I could rehearse whatever I was working on. It was great. It was like a playground for me. And it's right in Midtown. So it's right near the Broadway theaters. And then what I would do is I would go over to Broadway and see the latest gay play on Broadway. It was so exciting. So I'd be flying to New York and I'd have an idea in my head of all the plays I wanted to see. But as I was in the flight, I would start looking up plays, new productions, right? And always there was like a review on the night that I was arriving. A show that was gay had just been reviewed. And for like 5 years in a row, the shows were always well reviewed. I couldn't believe it. These gay plays opening in the spring were always getting great reviews. I was so excited. And the first one I went to on this project to see the gay plays in the spring on Broadway was gay playwright Richard Greenberg's Assembled Parties. This play was incredible. And I was there on the plane. And I knew that if the plane landed by 5 o'clock, if it landed on time, that's when I always arrived, that I could book a seat on my phone. And I had all these like half price ticket things, like TDF, the Theater Development Fund, because I'm a theater professional. I get like a discount through TDF or, the half price ticket booth. You can even buy tickets online, or Gold Star. I had all these cheapo ticket things. I could find the play. Nobody wants to see the place. It just wants to see the musical. So the stuff is always like available on the half price thing. So I'd be there on the plane. It was 5 o'clock and I quickly buy a ticket to the show that just got reviewed. And then I get off the plane, I get on the bus, I race into Manhattan. I wouldn't even go to the Y first. I just have all my luggage and I'd shove it under my theater seat and I'd sit there and watch this new play. And I couldn't believe it. The Assembled Parties by Richard Greenberg. This play was amazing. I love this play. And what I love most about it, well, yeah, there were gay things. I mean, it dealt, with the aftermaths of AIDS and things like that. Yes, of course. But it was the language. I realized the language is what I love in plays. This play was incredible. I sat there wishing I could talk as well as these people do. They talk correctly. It made me feel like I talked wrong, like I didn't understand the English language. It was an amazing production. I loved it, loved it, loved it. And I sat there with tears streaming down my face because I could identify with this family, this American family, and all it was going through this glorious language. The next 2 years, I went in the spring, and those were the Josh Harmon years. That's when I went and saw Josh Harmon plays. Oh my God, the first one I saw, I discovered as I was landing, I bought the seat, I went. It was Significant Others. It was amazing. It was about this guy who was gay, and his 3 best friends were these women, right? And all of them got married eventually, and then they didn't have any time for him, so he was alone. He was alone. It was so sad. And he had this 17-minute monologue of frustration and rage about how lonely he was. And this is what Josh Harmon is famous for, the 17-minute explosion. And it's like, it was incredible. Again, the language, it was like Eugene O'Neill. It was like Shakespeare. It was like King Lear. This boy just raged about how he will never have a lover and he is alone. And why won't the universe give me something? It was like the big monologue in Iceman Cometh. I was in shock. It was so good. But even better was the next year. Booked the play, went right there, right to the theater, Lincoln Center. It was Josh Harmon again. Admissions. Oh, this play's incredible, incredible. It's all about the incredible stress, the outrageous stress of getting into a good college. And this high school student doesn't get into the college he wanted to go to. He is crestfallen. He is destroyed. He is a brilliant student. He is a great community leader. He is a volunteer. He's done everything right. His parents are academics. They've led him through it. And he is outraged. And he has this outburst, a 17-minute outburst, the Josh Harmon specialty. It is incredible. And it is such an ugly speech because he talks about the reason that he didn't get in is he has no minority status. He's not gay. He's not African American. He's not a woman. He's not Asian American. He's not Latinx. He's nothing. And that's why they didn't let him in. It is so ugly and awful. And his parents, who are ultra liberals, just stand there with their mouths hanging open for 17 minutes in shock. It is this deluge of ugliness. And at the end of it, his father says, "You little twerp, how dare you? I did not raise you to talk that way, to think that way, to be that way. You are a twerp." It is an amazing play. And then the fourth year, again, a brilliant language play, and probably my favorite of all of them, one of my favorite gay plays ever, Harvey Fierstein's Casa Valentina. It was amazing, this play. Again, I booked it, and I went to the theater and there I was sitting watching this incredible play by Harvey Fierstein, Torch Song Trilogy. Well, he did it again. And again, it's about drag. Now, this is based on something historical, Casa Valentina. In the 50s, apparently, there were a lot of straight guys who liked to dress up in women's clothing, but they couldn't do that like in New York City. They had to go somewhere else. So they went to a place called Casa Valentina and they dressed up in women's clothing for a week. And that's what the play's about. All these guys and these incredible actors were in it. Larry Pine, Patrick Page, John Cullum in drag with pearl earrings. It was amazing. And the best part about it was, again, the language, the discourse, the dialectic. Here are these guys in dresses, talking like they're in a George Bernard Shaw play, like they're in a Tom Stoppard play, a Bertolt Brecht play. It's a dialectic, And what's horrible is one of the leads is an ultra-conservative, and he is advocating for the imprisonment of gay men who put on dresses because they are bringing down transvestism. They're making transvestism in the United States gay, and because it's 50s, he wants to persecute them. And what's amazing is he's standing up there in the most gorgeous dress, this big wig, these high heels, and he's saying these ugly conservative things. It is incredible. And one of the other ones is arguing with him and finally admits, you know what? I'm gay. I am a homosexual. I am a homosexual. And suddenly everybody reveals where they are on the spectrum, straight, bi, gay. And it's amazing. And it's this huge Shavian dialogue. It's like a Shakespeare play, this endless debate, thesis, antithesis, synthesis. I love this play. And I just sat there and all I felt watching it was gratitude for the quality of the production, of the writing, of what Harvey had done. It was true magic. And then the next year, I was coming into town, I was on the plane, and I'm checking out the things. It's like, oh my God, look, it's a new gay play, just reviewed the day I arrived. So when I got on the ground, it was 5 o'clock, so I knew I could make it to the theater, and I called up my friend, Paul. Now, Paul and I used to act together. We used to do shows together in San Francisco years ago. He's one of my favorite actors. He's certainly my favorite gay actor of all time. He's wonderful. And I called him up and asked him if he and his husband, Blair, wanted to come with me to see this play. And Paul said, well, Blair's got a bad back, all that stuff, but I'll come, I'll meet you at the theater. So I raced to the theater, I met Paul, I shoved my stuff under my seat, and we sat down to watch this play. And this play was called Straight. And it was amazing. I have never seen anything like this in my life. I'll just tell you about it. It was, okay, so I'm sitting there with Paul, off to see the gay play, the new gay play. Okay, here we go, new gay play. Okay, so the lights come up on the first scene. There's this guy, and he's on stage with his girlfriend, and they're just having the time of their life. They've just had food sent in, take out food, and they're eating it, and they're joking and laughing, and they're so compatible and happy together. And they poke each other. They don't really. There's no intimacy. There's no real intimacy. I mean, once in a while they like a little kiss like that, but they're very, very happy together. They seem like a very, very happy straight couple. And you're like, oh, that's sweet. And the audience loves them. The first scene got a lot of laughs. It was very popular with the audience. They were really into it. And so it's like a nice start to the play. Second scene, the same guy, the straight guy, brings home this young boy. So he's a graduate student at this school, and he brings home an undergraduate, and the two of them have the most insane sex I've ever seen on on any stage. It was like with the, I mean, they were in underwear, but it wasn't pornographic. It wasn't graphic, but it was like, I couldn't believe what these two actors did in front of us. This gay sex, it was like spanking and licking and touching and rubbing and spitting and kissing. It was like, and obviously they were both really into it, including the straight guy. So the rest of the play is alternating scenes between the happy couple who never really, there's no real intimacy. There's like a little kisses now and then this wild sex between, you know, like the 30-year-old gay guy and the one who's like 20. And, you know, just this insane gay sex. And it's just like, what is going on here? This guy's like, now let me tell you something. This play is set in New York City at the time that we were seeing it, 2016. And this guy is acting straight to this woman, and he's just a big old sex fiend with this boy. So finally, near the end of the play, the boy that keeps coming over and having sex with him finally says to him, you know, what's going on? And the nominally straight guy says, what do you mean? He says, well, I feel like we're going nowhere. I mean, all we do is like get together and have sex. We have wild sex like a couple times a week, but what's going on? He said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, I mean, I don't want to have a relationship necessarily, but I feel like there's nothing else between us. It's just this crazy sex. And he said, well, you know, what's wrong with that? He said, well, nothing's wrong with it. I just think it's weird. I mean, I know you have this girlfriend, you've mentioned her, and I think it's weird that she doesn't know about me. Well, why should she? Well, because you're obviously bi, maybe you're just gay. I mean, she should know that. Why? Well, because you should be truthful with her. Otherwise it's hurtful. Well, I'm not bi or gay, I'm straight. But you have sex with me all the time. Yeah, okay, so what's the big deal? But you don't, what do you mean you're straight? You're not straight. Yeah, I'm straight. I'm straight and I have sex with guys. It doesn't make me gay or bi. I'm just straight and I have sex with guys. That doesn't make any sense to me. Well, that's what I am. You need to tell her. You need to tell her what's going on. I don't feel comfortable with this. Well, I don't see why you say that. I just don't. I don't feel comfortable. And I don't feel comfortable with my role in it because I feel like I'm lying to her myself, even though I've never met her. I feel like this is like this weird secret. And I don't think there should be secrets. I don't understand the purpose of it. I don't know why you're so upset. I'm upset because I feel strange. I think this is a strange relationship. I think we have a very weird relationship with her, a dishonest one. And you're having a dishonest one with me, and I'm frustrated. I'm very frustrated. Well, I like being with you. Well, I don't think we're going to be together much longer, if at all. You need to open up to her. And you and I need to have something more than sex all the time. Well, that's not what I want. I just don't feel the same way. Well, that's how I feel. And I'm really frustrated. And I really just think this is strange and weird. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you. No, that's all right. It's all right. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I think it's strange. I think this dishonesty is strange. I think it's very strange. So the young one leaves, and in the next scene, the guy is with his girlfriend. And again, it's like the first scene. They've got takeout food. They're having a good time. They're laughing. And then he says to her, he says, I have to tell you something. What? She says. I have something to tell you. What is it? What? Should I be worried? No, well, I don't know. I have to tell you something. And sit down, please. Okay, I'm sitting. What is it? What? I have something I have to tell you. You keep saying that, but you don't say anything. Come on, dear. What is it? You can tell me. What? Just tell me. Please tell me. I have something I want to say to you. Something I have to tell you. It's very important. Will you marry me? And there was a gasp in the audience. I mean, an audible gasp. It was like, what? what? And of course, she was thrilled. She took the ring, she hugged him, they had one of their little kisses, and she was thrilled. And that was the end of the play. And I sat there, I was in shock. I was like, what? What in New York City in 2016? What? This guy is this closeted? I was like in shock. And I turned to Paul and I said, well, what did you think of that? And he said, well, I don't know. I mean, I didn't like the set very much. There was like crown molding in the living room, and then the molding for the kitchen was different, which is fine. That makes sense. But the way the two moldings met, that was weird. They didn't go together. They didn't. I said, oh, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the plot. I'm talking about the story. Do you think that was real? Do you think that still goes on? That people in urban centers are still in the closet like that? Like they live with such a lie? They marry women that they don't love to prove that they're straight to the world? Well, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think about it that much. What did you think of the play? He said, oh, no. But I was in shock. I could not believe it. I could not believe what I just seen. I just assumed that this guy was kind of messed up and he was going to sort it out. But no, he's going to go on with this lifestyle. He's going to go on doing this. And I sat there and I was so angry at the play because I didn't agree with it. I didn't think that anybody would have to be in a closet in an urban center in New York City or in San Francisco in 2016. And then I sat there and I was like, well, wait a minute. Am I ever in the closet? Am I ever in the closet? And I'm like, no, I'm never in the closet, ever. What? How could I be? I mean, my whole thing is gay theater. It's gay theater. Before people even meet me, they know, oh, this guy's a gay one. He's a gay one. And I always get it out there early because I always feel comfortable with everybody because I live in a city. So no, not me. But then I thought of something. I thought of these airplane trips and people I meet on airplanes. Yeah. When you get on an airplane, I like to be cordial. I like to sit down and there's a stranger next to me and I'm like, oh, hi, how are you? Oh, where are you going? Oh, yeah, okay. Well, I'm going to just go to San Francisco, but yeah, have a nice trip to Hawaii. It's nice to meet you. And then, I don't want to talk. I want to listen to my music or watch a movie or read or write or, eat or sleep. I want to do my things. I don't want to make friends. But sometimes the person I'm sitting next to starts doing things like this. Well, we were just in Europe and we saw a lot of great things. Here, let me show you. Here's some pictures of my family. And then they start showing you pictures of their family. And it's all there, the wife, the kids, the grandkids. And they tell you that they are from someplace in the Midwest. They are from Wisconsin. They are from Des Moines. They are from Baton Rouge. And you're like, oh my God, I'm sitting next to somebody who I have nothing in common with. Suddenly, and for 5 hours, 8 hours. And if Michael's not with me, it's doubly horrifying because I can't just turn to him and it's like, I'm like, and sometimes I clam up. And so they're sitting there going, here we go. Here's the Uffizi and here's the Accademia in Firenze. And you're just like, And of course, what you're supposed to do is take out your phone and say, oh, here we are. But I'm terrified that they're going to be like, oh my God, this guy's gay. Of course, this is all based on assumptions. I mean, when I hear where they're from, Tennessee or something, I start making all sorts of assumptions about them, how they're just going to hate me on principle. I mean, it's an assumption, right? I mean, you remember that Odd Couple episode where Felix breaks down assumptions, assume, the problem with assume, right? He says, when we assume, we make an ass of you and me. That's what we do when we assume. We make an ass out of you and me, right? So it's like I'm making all these horrible assumptions about these people on a plane, but the fact of the matter is we have to proceed somehow to protect ourselves. And it could be a horrible assumption, but I just clam up and I'm like, I have no solution. And only like once did I feel like, because it came out that I was gay, did somebody get quiet? It's not like they hit me. They just like got quiet. And maybe they were just quiet. Maybe they just wanted to sleep. I don't know. But, so anyway, I've tried to come up with some fix-its. Like one fix-it that doesn't work at all is just suddenly announcing, well, I'm gay. Yeah, I'm just gay. I mean, that's so obnoxious. It's so embarrassing to everybody. And usually the response is like, oh my God, no, you're gay? That is crazy. Sarcastic, like they don't care. They could care less. Half those kids in the picture are gay. Half the children are gay. Everybody's gay. They're probably gay. They don't care. So I figured out how to kind of slip it in there subtly. I figured this out from teaching. In teaching, I was always being asked, how do you make people feel included? People who have a status of otherness, somehow they're outside the, white, straight hegemony. How do you, as a gay man, make them feel included? And I said, well, I don't announce on the first day of class, well, you're all included. Everybody's welcome here. I mean, that's like weird, and it makes people feel like they're not included. I just start talking on the first day of class. I give an example and I say, well, Michael and I were in Santa Cruz this weekend, and I just get it out there. And I talk about him whenever I feel like it. Well, Michael and I this weekend, and I just put it out there so that they're like, oh, okay, this guy's gay, so whatever I am is okay. And I can reference it and use it. And that's what I started doing on planes. I just pulled my phone out and said, well, my husband and I, we were in Florence also. There he is. And here's the Academia, and here's the Pitti Palace. And, I just slip it out there. But recently, I didn't do it. Maybe because I was tired, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I didn't. And what's the problem? What is the real problem here? Because there's not that much difference between me and some guy from Tennessee. There isn't. There just isn't. Because even if he's straight, he's got probably all the things I've got. He probably has bromances. He probably tells some guy that he loves him and feels real affection for him. The only difference is sex. That's the difference. And that's what we're all like squeamish about. But that's what I see when he shows me something. When he shows me his family, it's like, here's his wife, sex. Here are his kids. That means he had sex with a wife. Like how many times? 5 times, sex. Here's some grandkids. That means all those kids had sex with each other, and they're all the grandkids. You're right. I see a lot of sex. And of course, that's exactly what he sees when he looks at my picture, because Michael and I can't even have kids, right? I mean, we could, but we'd have to have like, a woman or a Petri dish or, something. We'd have to have like a blender, whatever. We'd have to have all that paraphernalia. We could have kids, but we don't, right? So with the picture, when they see it, is 2 guys, sex. That's the difference, sex. And why is sex so weird for all of us? Because it's icky, right? Sex is not like pornography. It's not. It's icky. People just think it's icky, thinking about each other having sex. And that's where the breakdown is. And that's where the paranoia in me is. It's like, oh my God, he's going to realize that I am a sexual being. And that's the only difference between us. And it's ridiculous. But it leads to self-closeting. And this is how I convert myself. Conversion. I have converted myself, like the guy in the play who I was so critical of. I, an urban person, am converting myself. Why? Because it's just easier to be a part of the dominant party, right? The hegemony, the straight white male. It's just easier in business. I mean, maybe not Castro. In a Castro, you should be gay, but but by and large, it's just easier to be dominant, to be part of the dominance, to be the straight white male. And I can pass. And so I take that privileging and I convert myself. That's what I do. So that's self-conversion. What about conversion therapy, which is therapy designed to actually make somebody who is gay straight, turn them into a straight person? A therapist can do this. Does that work? Does it work? Can you be cured of homosexuality? Well, let's go back to Sigmund Freud. What did Sigmund Freud say about it? Sigmund Freud said, and this is very interesting, a woman wrote him and asked him, could you help me and my son? This was in the 30s, the mid 30s. Can you help me and my son? Because I think that he might have homosexual tendencies. Can you help eradicate those? And Freud responded to her. He said, in general, to undertake to convert a homosexual into a heterosexual does not offer much more prospect of success than the reverse. In other words, yeah, you're not going to succeed anymore in making a gay guy straight than you are in making a straight guy gay. It's not going to happen. And why would anybody want to go? It's absurd. Why would anybody want to go from straight to gay? That's dominant to lesser than dominant. I mean, it's wrong. And he's underlying the absurdity. It might be what you want for this kid, but you're not going to be able to do it. That's what Freud said. And this is an incredibly famous letter. It's a letter to a mother. It's an incredibly famous letter. And it was his definitive statement on the value of therapy for conversion therapy, turning gay into straight. And there's no value. That's his point. There's no value. So great. Freud has talked about it. We've got that out of the way. Great. Unfortunately, his daughter said no. Anna Freud came along. She was a therapist also, and she said, my father got it wrong. In fact, you can make gay people straight. You can. And she said it at a time when that's what the US government wanted, because they wanted to vilify, they wanted to demonize gay people. So as things were heating up in the Cold War, of course, we got the Red Scare. The Reds are against us. We have to flush them out of government. We also got the Lavender Scare. We have to flush the gay people out of government. The other is wrong in this country. We're going to persecute the other, right? We're going to get the gays. And they had therapists now saying it was possible. Anna Freud was saying it was possible. The American Psychiatric Association was saying it was possible. And this continued. Now, it was nuanced by other therapists as time went by. Some of them said, yes, you can, with therapy, change a gay man into a straight man, but the person has to be willing. The gay person has to be willing to change. Well, that's silly. I mean, what? I mean, an adult who's willing, that person must be straight then. I mean, I don't know how they got to be gay in the first place. Was it like an accident? I mean, did they accidentally have gay sex? It doesn't make any sense. Did they like fall down? Did they like trip and like accidentally have some gay sex or end up gay or something? It's like, well, okay, yes, if somebody's actually heterosexual and they're having gay sex, then yes, they can be made heterosexual. It's like, it's silly. But nevertheless, it stayed on the roster of pathologies for the American Psychiatric Association. It would not be removed. Psychiatrists kept saying it is a pathology. Homosexuality is a pathology. And ultimately, it can be cured if gay men will just commit to curing themselves. Now, in the middle of this debate, very interesting, the mother, a letter to a mother by Sigmund Freud, the mother, the recipient of that letter, gave it to the American Journal of Psychiatry. She gave it to them, and they published it as if to say, look, here it is, Freud saying it can't happen. Did that correct the problem? No, it didn't. It didn't correct the problem. The problem persisted until 1972 when Frank Kameny, finally, the great gay activist Frank Kameny, finally got it eliminated. Slowly, it took him years, but he got it removed from the list of pathologies, yes, of the American Psychiatric Association. So ultimately, it was shown that it could not be cured. And also, more importantly, that it wasn't a pathology, it wasn't a sickness, so it didn't need to be cured. But it took all that time, getting back to Freud. It just took all that time, and yet it still exists. We see little moments of it, me on the airplane, converting myself, this character in this play converting himself. We see adults doing it, it still exists. Adults still do it. They still go to conversion therapy. Many of them are religious and they feel that it's wrong, it's bad. Many of them want to be dominant. They want to be part of the hegemony. They want to be part of the power structure, which is straight. So they commit to it. And that's adults. And many of them struggle with this for years and lie to themselves, but they are adults. So ultimately, they have the choice and they take responsibility for that choice, for deciding to undergo this therapy. But then there are children, and they are the victims of conversion therapy also. Parents put their children into conversion therapy. They want to convert their kid from being gay to straight. Why? Why would a parent do that to their child? It's illegal in 21 states in the union because it's harmful to these children. I'll talk about later what it can do to them, the conversion therapy. It is considered harmful to these kids. So why would a parent do that? Why do parents continue to do it? Put young kids, teenagers, 13, 14-year-olds, adolescents into conversion therapy. Why? Well, many of them are religions. And their religion tells them that it is sinful, that it is bad, and this is drilled into them, and that they will go to hell if they continue to be gay. In some cases, it's the macho father. He's just so macho, he can't have a gay son. So he wants to straighten his son out. Another reason, and nobody ever talks about this, I haven't read this anywhere, but I kind of came up with this myself. I think sometimes the fathers are just jealous, or the mothers are jealous. They're like, look, I have to live a very constrained sexual life defined by the church, defined by my society, defined by whatever's going on in my head. My life sexually is very limited. You get to have gay sex. I don't want you to. I don't care about that. Yeah, things might be more liberal now, but I don't want you to have what I couldn't have. So I'm going to punish you. I think that's an aspect of it too. What exactly does it entail? How does it work? Conversion therapy. How does it work? Well, the parents usually catch the kid. In this case, we'll say a boy, a 13-year-old boy. They've caught the 13-year-old boy doing something. They've consulted with their church, which is very important in their lives, and they've decided, with the sanction of the church, to send the boy to a conversion therapy camp where he will stay until he is converted to heterosexuality. Welcome. Welcome to our camp. You all know why you're here. You're here to change. We can help you change, but you've got to help us, because right now you're headed down the wrong path. Those of you who are here, call yourselves gay, lesbian. That's wrong. That's sin. You continue in that path, you're going to go to hell. You're not going to enjoy your life. You're not going to enjoy anything. You're going to have a hellish life. At this camp, if you commit to change, you will change. We will help you change. And in some cases, we will make you change, whether you like it or not. It will be rough. It will be tough. But we will make you change. Some of you will be here for 2 months. Others for 6. Others may be here for longer. You'll stay here until you change. Now, as you saw, there is no barbed wire or electrical fences. They're not necessary. We're out in the middle of nowhere. We're isolated. The nearest town, they'll know who you are if you show up there. They'll send you right back here to me. If you go home, your parents will send you back. The church will send you back. So there's no running away. You can't escape. You're here to work, and you're here to change, to stop being what you call yourself and become healthy heterosexuals as God wants you. Okay. So let's get people assigned to their rooms. Is John here? John? Yeah, I'm John. I'm 13. Yeah. Oh, okay. Over here. Okay. Should I bring my stuff? Okay. Yeah. Great. Okay. Yeah. No, show me. Yeah. Show me my room. Oh, in here. Okay. Great. Yeah. So I this is my bed. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I like my room. I do. Yeah. Why am I here? Because my parents want me to change. They want me to stop being what I told them I was. Yes, I want to change too. What was I doing? I was looking at a magazine full of men, naked men, when my father came in the room and he saw me. I stole it from my friend, this girl I know, and she got it as a joke for a birthday present. And I went over to her house and I stole it. So I also stole, and my father came in and he saw me, and he'd heard me talking before, and he told me, don't ever talk that way about guys. And then he saw me with the magazine and he like freaked out. He got so upset. I said, Dad, don't worry about it. I won't look at it anymore. And he took me to see our pastor and my mother, and they decided I should come here. Yes, I do. I do want to change. I do. Very much. I'm committed to change. I want my parents to love me. I do. I want my family to love me, my brothers and my parents. I want them to love me. Thank you. Thanks. Now? Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I don't exercise much. Yeah, I know how to do that. I've seen on cartoons. Sure. Okay. Yeah. Is this right? Oh, straight? As straight as possible. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Getting pretty tired. I'm sorry. I'll be quiet. That was great. Yeah, I never exercise. Healthy body, healthy mind. Okay, yeah, I'll remember that. In here? Sure. Okay. I should sit down here? Okay. This is my screen. Okay. Yeah. No, I see. Yeah. You want me to take that? Okay. What is it? It looks like a pill. Okay. Uh-huh. What's in it? Oh, okay. No, it's all right. No, I don't need to know. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. So just turn the screen on and I'll just watch what this is. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. There we go. Do I have to watch this? I don't like this. This isn't what I like to watch. Is this what you think I like to watch? Yeah, I know what it is. It's pornography. It's gay porno. I know. I don't like to watch this. Yeah, I'll watch. I'll watch. What are they doing? They're doing, it's called butt fucking. I just know that word. I've heard other boys use it. I don't like watching this. Do I have to keep watching it? Yes, I will. I'm sorry. Do I have to say? He's giving him a blowjob. I don't like things like this. I mean, I like boys. I have strong feelings for boys. I don't want to watch this. I don't want gay porno. I'll watch. I'll watch. I don't like watching this. I don't feel well. What was in that pill? I'll watch. I'll watch. It's butt fucking. Yes, I know what it is. What was in the pill? I don't feel well. I'm watching. I'm watching. I have a tummy ache. I think I'm gonna be sick. I don't feel well. What was in that pill? I'm watching. I'm watching. Over here? Yeah. Should I set up here? Okay. Uh-huh. Yeah. Um, okay. To him, introduce myself. Okay. Hi, I'm John. Gregory? I like that name. It's a pretty name. Yeah. It's nice to meet you, Gregory. I'm nervous too. I'm very nervous. Hold hands? Okay. Is that all right? Oh, that's appropriate. It's appropriate to hold hands with other guys. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, great. Hi, Gregory. I never imagined this would be okay. Oh, I'm here to change. How about you? Yeah, I miss home too. I miss everything. I miss my friends. I miss my brothers. I miss my mommy. I miss your mommy too. Yeah, I love my mommy. She likes to sing. She sings when she's cooking. She's a really good cook, and I miss her cooking. What? Oh no! No. I didn't realize. I'll keep a distance. Well, I thought because we're holding hands, it was okay. I know. I just sort of. I just leaned in. I didn't mean to. No, I didn't. No, I'll stop doing it. I promise. What? Okay. Where are we going? Yeah, I'll put my chair away. Sure. Down here. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sure. In here? Yeah. It's so dark, and the ceiling's low. How long do I have to stay here? Okay. Um, I'm sorry I leaned against him. I didn't realize that was inappropriate. Now I know. I mean, I won't do it again. I promise. Okay. No. Yes. I'll stay here. It's cold. Could I have a jacket, or is there heat? It's very cold. How long do I have to stay here? Oh, please don't close the door. Please don't. Mommy. 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 Hi. No, I couldn't sleep. I was too cold. All night? I was very cold. I couldn't get warm. Uh-huh. Okay, yeah. I'll come. Uh-huh. Could I have a sweater or something? No, that's all right. No, I'm fine. I'm fine. Yeah, I'll watch. These? Okay. What are these? What? What do they do? Okay, just like here? Okay. Okay. And this one? Where's this go? Oh, okay. Sticky. Okay. All right. What did these do? It's called what? Oh, oh, okay. All right. Okay. And I turn this on again like last time? Okay. I don't want to watch this. You made me watch this the other day. It's porno. It's gay porno. I know that. They're butt fucking. What'd you do? That hurt. Yes, I'm still watching. I'm watching. I'm watching. I'm watching. I'm watching. Yes, it's a blowjob. I don't want to watch this. I hate it. I do hate it. I hate it. It hurts. It hurts to look at it. I hate it. Yes, I understand. I hate it. I can't watch this. I can't. No, I can't. I gotta turn it off. No, I'm not gonna turn it back on. No, I'm not. I didn't do anything. I'm not gonna turn it back on. No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. There. Did they make you watch that stuff? Did they give you electroshock? Do you like that stuff? It was horrible. I didn't even like it. They didn't need to do that. I didn't like it even. It was horrible. Gregory, if it weren't for you, I'd go crazy. I'd go totally crazy. I'd be insane. I would. Don't. We'll just get more trouble. I don't want to go back in that cold room, that dark room. I don't want to go back in there. Gregory, if I didn't see you every day, I'd go crazy. I'd go insane. I would. I have to go back this morning. Think about me, okay? Keep thinking about me. Pray for me, okay? Pray that I'll be okay. Gregory, you're the only thing that gets me through. You don't even know why they let us talk. Okay, Gregory. Thank you. You're my friend. Hello. Yes, I'm putting them on. Yes, of course. Yes, I will. No, I'm not going to wear them. No, I'm not going to wear them. I'm not going to watch this. I'm not going to take any pills. I'm not. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. I'm not going to do it. No, don't touch me. I'm not going to do it. You can't force me. I'm big enough. I'll punch you in that dick. That's what I'll do. I'll punch you in the. You can't force me. You can't. No. Hey, Gregory, don't put those on. Don't put those on him. No, you're gonna make me watch him as he. Gregory, please stop it. Please don't do that to him. Don't do it. You're just doing it to punish me. You're just giving him shots to hurt me. You can't make me watch it. You can't. You. Are you okay? Are you all right? It's horrible. Oh God, where will we go? We can't escape. We can't go anywhere. That town, they just sent us back here. We're too young, we're underage. Anytime a cop would find us, he'd just send us back. We can't go home. Church would send us back. My parents would send me back. Can you go back? I can't go back. Gregory, it was worse. It was worse than being sick myself or having the electroshock myself. It was worse watching. It was worse. Gregory, what are we gonna do? I'm gonna go back. No, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back. They don't care about you. They don't care about you. They care about me. They don't like you because I acted up. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back. Yes, I'll do it. You know why I'm doing it, but I'll do it. You guys are torturers. That's what you are. You're just torturers. Can I ask you a question? I haven't seen Gregory in 2 days. Where is he? Is he in that room? Is he in that dark little room? Is that where he is? Is that where you put him, in that dark? He left? Gregory left? When? 2 days ago? But he didn't say goodbye. I didn't get to say goodbye to him. How come you didn't tell me? In the middle of the night? But he was my only friend here. He just left? His parents came and got him? But why didn't he? You didn't let him. You didn't let him say goodbye. I'm not going to do this. I'm not. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't you touch me. Don't touch me. I'm not going to do anything. 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 Nothing. You can't make me. I'm just going to stay here. I'm just going to stay here. And you have to feed me, because if you don't feed me, my mother's going to find out. She's going to call. She'll call every 3 days like she does. And if she doesn't get to talk to me, she's going to demand to talk to me. I'm going to tell her that you don't feed me, that you don't feed me anything. No. What? You're sending me home? Why? I don't want to go home. I don't want to go home. I want to stay here. You have to take care of me. I want to stay here. You can't stay here. I'm sending you home to your parents. That's where you belong. You're going to go to hell, young man. You are going to rot in hell. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not going to go to hell. There are people who love me. My parents will protect me. They'll protect me. And if they don't, then I won't live with them. I'll live with somebody else, or I'll run away. I'll do something else. Yeah. I hope you do run away, because you're just going to end up a prostitute living on the street, a drug addict. That's what you're going to be. Just another punk kid who thinks he knows the way to God. You've crossed heaven. You've crossed it off your list. And now you're going to rot in hell. We're going to get you out of here because you're a bad influence, because you don't want to change. You are the devil. That's what you are, kid. You're going to rot in hell. I hope I see you one day on the street, a prostitute, a drug addict, dead from AIDS. Conversion therapy has a lot of different effects on these young people who are sent to it. Many of them do go home, and they do figure out a way of fitting in at least long enough to become responsible adults, to take care of their lives, to take control. They become good students. They become good workers. Some of them thrive as gay men once they escape, once they have control of their lives. Others don't. Others commit suicide. Some do become prostitutes, drug addicts living on the street. Conversion therapy has been proven to cause damage, to families, and to individuals. It's a ruthless medicine inflicted by parents on their kids, and it destroys. As I was talking to people about this, interviewing people, discussing it, certain states kept coming up, Arkansas and Texas and places in the Midwest, in the South. Those seem to be the locations for this kind of thing happening. But then I began to think of it as something remote, like something that doesn't happen around me, something that's divorced from my world, from my immediate experience. And so I started to think, have I encountered this? Conversion therapy, the willful conversion, destruction of gay youth by their parents. Have I encountered anything like this in my travels, in my personal experience, in my family? And I'm like, no, it's absurd. I was raised with very little religion. I was an Episcopalian. Episcopalians are wishy-washy, milky. It's not a strong religion. I don't remember homosexuality being mentioned once in all the church services I went to as a kid, not once. When my father died, he even admitted that though he'd been going to church his whole life, he didn't believe in it. He didn't believe in God. He didn't believe in heaven. He didn't think he was going anywhere now that he was dying. It's sort of breathtaking, the lack of belief in my family. But a very interesting thing happened. After he died, my mother was living alone and she lost her driver's license. It was taken away from her because she couldn't drive responsibly. So the police withdrew her license and she could no longer drive anywhere. And in her community, you need to be able to drive to get any place. Well, there was one church that she could actually walk to, a Baptist church. So she walked to this Baptist church and converted and became a Baptist. She was an Episcopalian, then she became a Baptist. And I checked this church out online, and there it was on the website, all the hate of homosexuals. I was appalled, but did my mother know? If she heard it, did she care? That's not why she was there. She wasn't there to hate homosexuals. No, come on. But it was a part of her church. And because she couldn't get to any other, that's the church she went to. Interesting. My aunt is Catholic, but she's a very imaginative Catholic. She's always telling me about how all the priests in Oakland are gay, and they have gay parties, and they all hang out together, and they're very openly gay. And it's okay. It's okay for gay Catholic priests. It's perfectly okay. And I said, I'm sorry, but does the Vatican know about this? She says, oh, sure. So, she has her own imagination that tells her that her church is much more permissive and accepting than it is. And then something very interesting happened. In 2012, California became the first state to make conversion therapy illegal. In other words, for kids, parents can no longer send their kids to conversion therapy. If the kids are underage, the parents don't have the control to send them to conversion therapy because it is damaging. It destroys. It destroys individuals. Some of these kids, as I said, commit suicide. People can no longer do that. And that's the case in 21 states in the union right now. But in 2012, California was the first. I was like, yay, go California. And I was reading an article about it this week in Time magazine, written in 2012. And they interviewed this young man. And he talked about his upbringing. He had a religious upbringing. And he grew up in the Valley, and he went to a fundamentalist church, an evangelical church in the Valley, a big church, a mega church. And from the time he was 4 years old, he remembers them talking about how homosexuality is a sin. It's a sin for which you will go to hell. And he ingested that. That became a part of him. And he began to think of himself as somebody who was going to go to hell because he was gay. And he underwent conversion therapy. It was horrible. It didn't work. It made him feel bad about himself. He felt terrible. And he was a gymnast. And it was his gymnastics that set him free. It made him realize that he was an individual, a special person as a gymnast, and that also his sexuality must be special, and that he must embrace that. And he was going to a college in Southern California, and he transferred to UC Berkeley because their gymnastics program was much more permissive. It was a gay-friendly program. And I was like, yay, go Berkeley, my school, yeah. I'm so proud of Berkeley reading this. But I stumbled reading this article, and I caught my breath because of the church that he went to. And from the time he was 4 years old, the pastor of this church had railed against homosexuals. And the church believed in conversion therapy. They sent people into conversion therapy. All the hate against homosexuals. And I recognize the name of this church. And I recognize the name of the pastor. My relative, who is dearest to me, who I am closest to, who I love, respect, and admire, has been going to this church forever. And of course, when I think about it, I should have known, right? A fundamentalist church, of course, of course, of course. And I've been in their apartment with the books, and I've seen this pastor's books in the apartment. And I swear to God, I think I dug through them to find something and then got tired and was like, oh, come on, this is ridiculous. I mean, I'm fine. I mean, I don't need to do this. But in fact, that was the smoking gun in this article for me. My relative, who means so much to me, has been going to this hateful church, listening to this hateful pastor, buying his books for years. What does that mean? Like my mother, do I just assume that this is a part of the liturgy, of the lesson that my relative, who I respect, admire, and adore, he just doesn't listen to? Do I just assume that? Or do I imagine that maybe there's a part of me that isn't accepted? Me, my sexuality, how I express that sexuality in my artwork, my husband. I don't know. I don't know. But I do know that this person goes to that church every Sunday and that this church disapproves of me and thinks that I will go to hell. And do I imagine that my relative thinks that too? As we share stories, as we say, I love you at the end of our phone calls, is that what underlies it? And that's when I realized that conversion therapy and all of this hate that supports it and the desire, the need to change people is a part of my family and resides closer to me than I ever knew. My uncle was a wonderful man. He was an incredible man. I adored him. And there was a part of him that I especially liked, and that's that he lived outside what I grew up seeing. Everybody I knew who was his age was married and had kids. And my uncle never married, didn't have any kids. And I love that about him. I thought that was so incredible. But he wasn't gay. That was always clear to me. My father said that. I think he even intimated it, my uncle, that he was not gay. But I thought a lot about that because I thought about my grandparents and what they were. Now, the reason I was thinking about them is they were wonderful people. They were like Norman Rockwell grandparents that are right out of a Norman Rockwell painting. And I adored that about them. They were wonderful people. They were just like these great Americans. But I knew that there was an underlying thing that I wasn't seeing and I hadn't heard directly, but I heard about that they could be very judgmental. Now, my aunt and my father had both been judged by my parents, and they were both such strong individuals that the judgments didn't have effect. My father told me once that his father, my grandpa, had told him once, why do you let these kids run around all the time? You need to crack down on these kids. You need to discipline them. My father said, hey, let me raise my own kids, hey? I know what I'm doing. Leave me alone. I know how to raise my kids. And of course, my father, it was all about money, right? And my father had a lot more money than my grandpa. My grandpa was a nice middle-class man, but my dad was upper middle class. He was lower upper. He was upper. There was an upper involved in it all. And he was not going to listen to this middle-class guy tell him how to raise his kids. So he had that confidence. And my aunt, she's just a strong individual. She wasn't going to listen to them when they made judgments on her. But my uncle, I think, had a different journey. Because I think that my grandparents at some point said to him, if you behave like your brother and sister, we're not going to love you anymore. And I think maybe they suspected that this nice, wonderful man who never married, who didn't have kids, might be a sexual other, and they weren't ready for that. And I think they put the pressure on him. I just think this. Now, he was on tenure track. He was a history professor, ancient history at Davis. He was an assistant professor. And all of a sudden, he moved to New York City. He packed up and left Davis, left a great salary, a great career, and went to New York City to live in New York and take a much lower paying job as a history professor back there at another university to the other side of the country. And he used to say to me, he said, I came here because I love the Metropolitan Opera. That was him. He loved opera. He loved ballet. He loved culture. He said, I had to be in New York. That's why I came to New York. But is that really the reason? Is it? Is that really the reason? I think he might have been trying to get away from my grandparents, who'd been so judgmental of my father and my aunt, and it hadn't worked. So they were going to crack down on him, and he had to get out. Now, when I say he was a wonderful man, I'm not just being abstract. He was terrific. And this is what he said to me. When I graduated from college, this is what he said. He said, you should come to New York City, John. You can live with me in my apartment. You don't have to pay rent. I'll even give you a stipend, so you don't have to work. Now, you've been studying theater for years, and I think you should come to New York and be in the theater capital of the world. You can work as a stage manager. I even know some opera companies, and they'd love to have you as a stage manager. You can audition for things. You can direct some stuff, and I'll support you. I'd like to have you there. But more than that, I think this is a golden opportunity to be in New York City. Come live with me. Now, of course, you're thinking, and a lot of people thought, oh, he's looking for a boyfriend, right? He was looking for some guy. No, he wasn't like that. He would never do anything like that. He was very religious. He believed in propriety. That was his big word, propriety. He was always telling me, remember propriety, right? He would never have a sexual or romantic interest in his nephew. Nah, that's something out of a movie. And he didn't. He was just a lovely, lovely man. And I spent a year in New York, and it was magical. It told me so much about that wonderful city and about the arts there. And he introduced me to the arts. He took me to the opera, to the ballet. We used to go to Broadway shows, yay, back when I loved the musicals, but we also saw plays. Iceman Cometh, it was great. We had a great time together going to museums. And it was a magical year. And throughout that year, I was introduced to girlfriends. He had girlfriends. Now, he was in late middle age by then. So these girlfriends were his age, and they'd all been married before, had kids, divorced. And now my uncle was their boyfriend, right? Boyfriends, girlfriends. Oh, I think that was a very loose term. I think they were just like friends, and they like to go to the opera together, to the museums, to the ballet. I think that's really what was going on. I don't think they were really girlfriends. And he used to say to me, he says, they never stay with me, John. They never stay with me. They always dump me and take up with policemen. They like cops. I've lost 2 girlfriends to cops. I'm like, cops? That's so weird. But you know what I think? I think between him and these women, there was no nookie. They weren't getting any nookie. So they went to a cop, right? And they hooked up with a cop, because I think cops love the nookie, right? So I think they were looking for some nookie. I don't think there was any nookie. And I wonder, was that bad? Was that really bad, what he was doing? Having girlfriends when he really wasn't a straight guy, when he was perhaps a gay guy who just kept himself in the closet because he didn't want to be judged by his parents. He had converted himself, his own conversion therapy. Was it really bad that he had these girlfriends? I don't think it was. I think they knew what was going on. They were adults, come on. They'd been married before. They were into cops, for God's sake. They must have known what was going on. But he had these girlfriends. And I don't think it was bad. I think it was fine. But what happens when these men actually get married, right? And I want to say one more thing about my uncle. I mean, who am I to judge, to say that he was gay or straight or not, or da-da? Who am I to judge? He was a wonderful man. And if his closet kept him wonderful, if his self-conversion kept him wonderful, that's all that matters. He was a wonderful man. I'm not going to question it. But I do have these doubts about my family. And I realize that I've been more intimately involved in conversion of all types than I ever realized. I was about to say that there is a difference, though, between my uncle and his girlfriends and men who actually marry women, gay men who actually marry women, who convert themselves or go through conversion therapy and actually marry women, and the damage that does, the damage to the wives. Now, over the last 30 years, I've had a lot of gay male friends who were older than me who told me I was in the closet, I was married, I had kids, and then I came out in middle age and it was great. Everybody supported me, my kids, my wife, my family, it was great. And I suddenly dove into the candy jar of being gay. And I always wondered when they told me this, really? Was everybody really all that supportive? Aren't you sort of, frosting the cake a bit on this one? Really? Because of course, these women, their lives were changed. And however, these guys, these guys were like, sleeping with men behind their women's backs. And just because they were men doesn't mean that these guys weren't cheating. They were cheating on their wives. They were betraying their wives. And then I started meeting men who didn't talk about their wives, and they had very difficult relationships with their kids. And these were much more religious men. And the confusions that this brought to the family were irreparable, destructive. And I always wondered, what are you thinking? Why did you go into this relationship? It's so damaging. I just read about a man who raised his kids to hate homosexuality. And then he came out of the closet, he left all of them, and they wouldn't speak to him. And then one of them got married to a woman and then divorced her a year later. And the father thought, oh my God, he's gay. I did to him what I did to myself. It is deeply destructive. And in some cases, and there's this book that just came out, and it's called I Have Something to Tell You, just like the play, except that Something to Tell You was a marriage proposal, but we all thought it was going to be, I'm gay, I have something to tell you. And it's the story of women who were married to gay men and the destructiveness of those marriages. Some of these women were devastated by the lies that they were told for years, the cheating, the sneaking around. Some of them got STDs from their husbands because they brought them home from sleeping with men. Some of them got AIDS. Some of them died from AIDS because their husbands brought it home and gave it to them. So getting back to that play, Straight, and the gasp in the audience, and my challenges with it, and by finding my way into it and realizing that, yes, this is gasp worthy because it is terrifying what that guy was about to do because of what I've read in so many accounts of the destructiveness of these marriages. And it makes me think, as I think about it, that we have a responsibility as gay men to not live in the closet ever, to not live somewhere where we feel we have to be straight. I don't live where I grew up. If I lived where I grew up, I wouldn't be happy. I mean, it's the kind of neighborhood where nobody would ever like yell at you or punch you or throw something at you. No way. But there wouldn't be other people like me. And I would feel all those little lie necessities. I would feel like I had to pass sometimes. I would not feel totally comfortable being there, so I shouldn't be there. And anybody who lives in a community like that, who's queer, should get out. That's what cities are for. That's why I gasped when in 2016 in New York City, this guy was choosing to be straight, because cities are for that. They're for people to be gay, and we have a responsibility to be openly gay. Why? Because we can pass. And when we pass, we sacrifice and sabotage our minority status. Listen to me. There are many minorities in this country that cannot pass. Women cannot pass as men. African Americans cannot pass. Latinx, Asians, they can't pass. So we as men should not try to pass as straight. We have a responsibility to the minorities of this country to live openly, because that's the only way people will know. And until we do, conversion therapy, self-conversion, destructive relationships, mega churches that can preach and get away with this are all going to thrive and destroy. In 21 states in the union, it's legal. Yeah. There are debates in other states. Fortunately, there are 20 states where it's illegal, but not a majority. And this might be the Supreme Court that can change it, but we've got to get the case there. We've got to make this illegal in this country because it's not necessary. Freud said it wasn't necessary. It's not a sickness. This is not anti-religion. I believe it's necessity, but it's anti-taking a belief and turning it into an instruction, into an abuse, into a way of changing people. Straight, a dangerous term for a gay man. Was that a gay play that I saw years ago? I don't think so. I'm not quite sure what it was. Quite aside from Paul hating the set, I was provoked, and I think the theater should provoke. I think it should provoke us. It shouldn't make us feel like something wonderful happened. It should make us feel like we have to get out there and change something. And I'm not sure the playwright quite understood the effect he was having on me, a gay man. But it sure had an effect. It got me thinking about the nature of this, about the impossibility of change of that kind, and the danger of it. Thank you. I'm John Fisher, and this has been Straight, a look at the phenomenon of conversion therapy and self-conversion, especially the danger of conversion therapy as it is applied to children. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. This has been my 26th Shelter in Place solo piece. I've been doing these every Thursday since the beginning of Shelter in Place. I've only been able to do them because people have turned up to watch the show, so thank you so much for being here. We've also been producing readings, fully memorized productions. We have a full season of plays coming up very soon. We're going to announce it in just a couple of weeks. The season is called Inside Outside. We're going to begin with 3 productions on Zoom, but they're going to be much more high tech, much more complicated, a lot more sophisticated. And then the second half of the season is going to be back in the theaters, fingers crossed. So that's the theme, Inside Outside, the closet, out of the closet. COVID-19, and hopefully, God willing, post-COVID. So thank you so much for being here. If you'd like to support this kind of programming, you can do so by making a donation to our theater. There's our address. That's my COVID-19 office, John Fisher Theater, Rhinoceros, 91 Central Avenue, number 102, San Francisco, California, 94117. Or you can go on our website, therhino.org, THERHINO.org, and click on PayPal and make a contribution to us through PayPal. But more than anything, thank you so much for being here tonight. It's always a pleasure to perform. I love the little green light, and I do really feel like you're all out there. I can see you. I feel like I can hear you too. Thank you, and good night.